To work. I can't believe it took that long to get my camera up. I don't know why it was down in the first place, but oh well. I've kind of gotten used to liking the camera now. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer video today. This is the Jenos champion profile. Mostly because I'm sick of people shit-talking Jenos and saying he's such a bad healer. Like, literally, there are so many pro players out there that say Jenos is only good on Luminary because of the 15% bonus damage it deals. That he's not effective on any other card. And I don't really think that people understand that there's more than one way to play multiple champions, like I said with Grok, where people always sit there and tell me, Grok is a damage, Grok is a damage. He's not a healer, he's just a damage. Or Pip is a flank. Jenos is not just a Luminary, only. Let's get this out of the way right now. So, Binary Star is kind of your odd choice card. This is the build that I have for Binary Star. It is a healing based one, but I have the 25% life steal on my shot, and I usually run that with kill to heal. So I've got life rep 2 plus kill to heal in game. I'm thinking about getting rid of this build, but I just wanted to kind of show this off. And this is just basically this just changes your primary fire. It's just tick damage out of range. You do deal more damage at a slower rate, but the tick damage can be annoying.
Triple kill. That's 5 in a row.
If you can land headshots, it's nice.
Pentakill. That's 7 in a row.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Binary Star. You just shoot like this. Alright, so moving on from Binary Star, now we're actually going to talk about, let's look at his skills real quick. So you have your basic weapon. Now, they've had to tone down his Star Splitter weapon a lot from when it came out, but in my opinion, I think it's a solid weapon. It is on par with a lot of other, it is basically a Talus gun. If you want to look at Talus's gun, it's 110 per shot every 0.10 seconds, so it has slightly slower rate of fire and slightly less damage per shot. It is not that far off Victor's rate of fire or Tyra's rate of fire on the other legendary cards, not on Binary Star. But it is a solid DPS option. You're not going to be you can use it as kind of a mobile running gun. You do have your Stellar Wind, which is basically a sprint ability.
I need a new victim.
Yeah, this is your Stellar Wind right here, basically your sprint button. It does carry a 2-second cooldown on it, and then you sprint again. It does make jumping harder because it's not as instantaneous. But there you go. You fall slower. You can deactivate it at any time. And then you have the rest of your kit. You have your Void Grip and your Astral Mark. So your Astral Mark is your healing, which we will talk about later, and your Void Grip is your that's basically your kind of a get out of jail free card that's pretty easy to counter. But I don't know. It's interesting to work around the way his kit works. His kit works very well as an aggressive support. And what I mean by aggressive support, not an attack support, where you pick, say, Binary Star with increased ammo and you just go to town on people. Can I hit that target right there? I can't. Not very effective. Alright, so now we're going to change the look. So now you have your other 3 cards. Now these are what I would refer to as your more serious cards. These are your healing cards. And I know you're looking at me and you're going, but that card is shit. That card doesn't benefit healing. Well, it does. So we'll talk about Power Coliseum next, because I think that's the next card. A lot of people underestimate it. The thing that you need to realize with Jenos, and it did take me a good while to realize this. There's no real way you're gonna buff healing with Jenos. Jenos is not a bad healer because he doesn't do burst healing. This is the best you're gonna get on burst healing is Celestial Touch. which on tanks it's not bad, but on softer characters, like if you're trying to burst heal an Eevee and you hit them with 180, a 180 burst followed by 220 per second, they're gonna look at you like, are you fucking kidding me? But this is a healing card too. Now I will show it off. So this is the Life Taker build. So this build right here, this is an interesting build. You can take out Inner Peace if you want. It's really mostly in there as a filler. There's not a lot of good fillers on this build, unfortunately, because most of your healing cards, besides Light Years, stack in half-second intervals. And I only have a total of 2 points I can spend. So I could have taken out Light Years and Inner Peace, and I could have had reduced cooldown and increased duration, and I could have had those by 1 second, or reduced cooldown by a second and increase the duration by a second, but then I don't have any range. This is, the important part of this build is you increase the range that you can Void Grip, and then you, if the target of your Void Grip dies within 4 seconds, it reduces all cooldowns by 100%. Now that's critical. Right? That's the thing to know. I'm going to show something off here. That wasn't fast enough. You see the amount of damage it does at close range. That's really what it's effective for. It's kind of that close range defense spray and pray type. There we go.
That's 13 in a row! Double kill!
Come on!
That's how you want to use Power Coliseum. Because this is what I'm not explaining to you right here. Okay? Let's see. Let's go over here. So. It won't let me Void Grip them? It won't let me Void Grip, really? I can't Void Grip them because I'm too far away. I wanted to showcase it. Basically what you do is, okay, so you'd Void Grip, and then you would heal. Then you get another kill. The only problem with this build, necessarily, is that what you have to do to be effective on this is you need to have a flank with you. Because one of the things you need to remember is, you do not have the ability... What is the max range you can Void Grip somebody at, by the way? That's a decent range right there. And if you're able to land all your shots, you can just keep resetting. In the meantime, you pop a heal. Nothing slow on that. So it enables you to spread out a lot of heals in a relatively short amount of time, because what it enables you to do is rapidly burn down a target, Void Grip them so that it kills them, or if you're running with a flank or a damage, flanker or a damage that's behind you, Void Grip, your target kills them, you pop a heal. Something like that. Because remember, you're not reducing the cooldown at all on your L2. It is just strictly getting kills off your L1. But the trick is this. When they're in your L1, they can't move. So Fernando here can't charge, Sky here can't teleport, Pip here can't go weightless. I mean, they have no way to, or the Cassies, if I could hit the Cassies that are normally over here, they can't dodge roll out. So it forces your opponent to kind of stay and take it. Now, there are a couple ways you can get out. Obviously, Emoji Magic Barrier is just gonna be a giant middle finger to fuck to Jenos. She's just gonna put up her Magic Barrier and go, you didn't say the magic word, But one thing is, your ult is pretty much one of the hardest damage abilities to hit in the game. Like, people tell me, oh, Skye's ult is so hard to hit because it takes 4 to 5 seconds for it to wind up, and it gives so much time to get out of the way. In the middle of a clustered point fight, nobody cares. Here's the problem with this ult.
Step into the light and perish.
Triple kill.
That's nice if you can land it. Do you know how hard it is to land that shit? By the way, you are chicken scratching at a range. I just want you to know that. At here, you're doing 32 a shot. So you are effective at close range. But it's nice to be able to just kind of spray and pray and knock people off. That is a Void Grip build. The Void Grip build does kind of work. What we're going to talk about next, however, is we're going to talk about your two actual healing cores. The one is Luminary and one is Celestial Touch. Now, the only time I really run this build is off of Luminary, because on Luminary you'll get a lot more assist than on Celestial Touch. On Celestial Touch, you're straight healing. On Luminary, because you're giving the damage bonus and your team is getting more eliminations while they're being healed. When you run Luminary, your team actively has to make a push to get eliminations. If your team is not pushing to get eliminations when you are running Luminary, then your team, when they spam need healing, has no one to look at but themselves. Okay? The whole point of this build is very simple. I heal Fernando, Fernando killed the target in front of him, then I'm helping him shoot. If he's not shooting the target in front of him, my Luminary is for nothing. Luminary is entirely wasted if your team is not attacking. On Luminary, you have to have an aggro team that is willing to push, that is willing to go ahead. Like, looking at this, okay, so what's a good Luminary team comp? Well, a lot of people say, well, Drogos and Fernando because of Scorch and Fuselage, and then most people want to bring a second healer, so if you're going to bring a second healer, you would bring somebody like Furia because she gives that 30% damage bonus, and if you want to bring a flank, well, then you go for a flank like Koga, or you can go for a Yomi Zin, or if you want to bring a second tank, you go for a Torvald or a Terminus, where Terminus is more of a push tank, or Torvald with the shield, he becomes more of a sit-on-point tank to let the Fernando be the push tank. Yeah, that's a great team comp. You know what happens? You get fucked over on your team comp. That's what happens, because Drogos decides to sit back and take pot shots from the back. See, on that build, you have to run Fuselage, and if you're running Fuselage, okay, so the Luminary Jenos buffs you, and now you're looking at over 1,000 a rocket. You're looking at, I think it's 1,200 a rocket right there. Okay, Drogos has to hit those shots. If Drogos is not willing to push up with the Scorch Fernando, who the Scorch Fernando is going to do about 600, 650 damage, I believe, on his Fireball for the first one, and that damage stacks on the subsequent hits, right? If they're not willing to push up, then the Luminary Jenos is basically not doing anything. He has no viable legendary card at that point. He's just playing a default Jenos loadout at that point. Fury is sitting there healing by herself because Jenos isn't running Celestial Touch to help take some of the burden off of her. The Terminus Torvald, if we are running one of those two, okay, so the Terminus is like, what the fuck? Like, because now he's not, you know, they're not capitalizing on that. The Torvald's sitting there dying all the time. And then you've got, if we decide we pick Koga or Zin for the flank, you know, Zin's sitting there. If he's running Smolder, that does not help. He kind of has to run Yomi. That's the problem with the Luminary Jenos. Certain champions have to pick certain cards around it in order to get the benefit of it. You know, Victor has to run Firefight. Tyra, she can't really, there's nothing really she could run that would help boost it. Vivian has to run Opportunity and Chaos. Willow has to run Blast Flower. Ying has to run Reflecting Lenses. Ceres has to run Soul Collector if you're trying to go for that damage amp team stack. And that's a bit of a problem that kind of restricts your legendary card choices on this style. As a solo healer, Luminary is not the way to go, because unfortunately you're just not going to help your team as much as you think you are.
Give in to the
You're going to be able to heal, but you're not going to be overwhelming on the healing. Just to showcase this build, this is, I believe, the only self-heal build other than Pip that I run. And Pip is mostly because of the fact that I can't use the potion on myself. This right here, so the key on this build is you have to have the range increase. This is kind of a flex build where it allows me to heal. Remember, I heal 220 per second I heal enemies for 220 per second. This build allows me to heal 200 per second. So basically, I'm healing myself for the same duration and the same amount that I'm healing everybody else for. So this is actually a good trade-off. See, the other cards that most healers have, for example, like Ceres, where heal X amount per second when you're channeling your Restore Soul. The problem with that for me is if you max that card out, you are not getting the same amount of healing as you are healing. So if you're low health and you're trying to heal somebody else, that's a problem. I like this because it stacks. There are times where I've got heals on 2 people, and I get low health, and I get, like, ambushed and low health, and I can bail myself out just because of the fact that I'm getting 400 health per second, basically. So that is important to note. That card does stack if you have 2 people healed or 3 people healed. The problem on this build is, unfortunately, you do need Chronos, and this is really the only build that I run where you need Chronos. I have the Void Grip reset, I have the Binary Star one, which I'm actually getting rid of after this video, and then I have, that. But this is good. So this is, you know, Falling Star is even as a filler card is great. That card at any value is great, just because if you are, it's 4 seconds afterwards. So a lot of times this is what'll happen. Just pick the build just to show it off. Okay, so I'll get her sufficiently weak. Let's say a little bit above half health. You Void Gripper. Okay, let's say she had resilience and she didn't sit there the whole time, right? That's a problem. But you can get the cooldown fairly quickly. That's at 40% right there. I'm down to 6 seconds. So that's very effective for helping reduce cooldown. And it does help reduce the cooldown on your heal. Another thing with Jenos is this. Now, we're going to pretend these are your targets right here. That I can pretend I can heal these people. So if I use my L1, let's pretend I'm healing them instead of damaging them. Just because I need multiple people to heal. So you have a low health flank. Let's say you have a mid health damage support and you have a high health tank. Okay, if all of these people were half health, who do you throw the heal on first? Now this is the thing. If they're all at half health, the first thing you would honestly look at and say is, most people would say, well, obviously you heal the tank because they have more health. The correct answer is you're not asking the right question. It's not who do you heal first. Who has the best chance of not taking damage when I heal them? Now, what do I mean by that? So the tank is normally at half health. He's on the point in the middle of a point fight. So healing him does nothing. Because you heal 220 per second. You're not going to be able to give him enough healing. If there's caught, okay, now you're healing anywhere from 190, 180 per second at caught 1 to 25. And I'm rounding there. I'm rounding these numbers. At caught 3. That is not enough healing for a tank to sustain themselves. Now, I'm not on my cooldown reset on Celestial Touch. We're still talking about Luminary Jenos. So, do I heal the tank first? No! The tank is dead. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, tank. You are dead. I cannot heal you. Now, a wise person would say, well, if I give you the damage bonus, I give the heal to you, I give you the damage bonus, you're gonna be able to do something with that, right? No. These are the tanks that benefit from Luminary, okay? Ashe does not benefit from Luminary, okay? She does not do enough damage to benefit from Luminary. Barrack does not benefit from Luminary because it doesn't apply to his turrets. Okay? If it applied to his turrets, that'd be one thing. But it doesn't apply. On a hair trigger, yes, he fires faster and he would do more damage. It just doesn't help, in general. Fernando does. Because it will stack on the fireball for whatever reason. You can stack it on Scorch, you can stack it on Dragonfire, because it affects damage. That's the other thing, too. On Barrack, it doesn't stack the turns because they're deployable. On Fernando, it does benefit him. On Makoa, it can, but not really. If you're running Pluck, if he's running Pluck, he really doesn't need that much more bonus damage because he basically two-shots anybody that's not a tank. But it can help. If you're not running Pluck, he's going to deal roughly 710, 720. I think it's closer to 700 to 710 than to 710 to 720. But that's still impressive damage, but it's not really a lot. Makoa does benefit. the problem with Mako is he only has 4 shots, and he fires once per second. So legit, he basically gets, and let's say he is half health, he's legit gonna get 3 shots before he dies. Let's just sum that up right now. If he's not getting any healing, and you just put the Luminary on him, and he's going up against Caught, so he's not getting the healing out of it, just the damage, he's gonna get maybe 2 or 3 shots before he's dead. So if he misses one of those shots, he is dead. Celestial Touch is not gonna help, Luminary is not gonna help, no card you can run is gonna help him. Khan, it definitely benefits Khan. Even if he's not running firing line, it benefits his weapon because he has a rapid fire, relatively high damage per shot. He has a relatively fast rate of fire. Yes, it's slower than Victor, but he deals more damage per shot than Victor. And he has a decent clip size and a moderate amount of recoil. It's pretty easy to control for me. Honora does not benefit from it, okay? If you're running Wrath of Stigala, that's one thing. Because now you get 15% plus you get that extra shot if she hits all of her targets. But again, that's only if she's hitting all of her targets. And if she's running Wrath of Stigala, she does not have Sustain. Which means you should not be running a Luminary Jenos with that. Ruckus does, because Ruckus is the highest DPS of the frontlines. Because he's a glorified damage that just has a higher health bar and a shield that gets destroyed faster than Torvald's. But, really? Ruckus is gonna survive that much damage before he can kill somebody? I don't think so. Terminus does, especially if he's running Seething Rage, because he can swing faster. He can apply that damage to better fast. Torvald is useless. I'm sorry. Torvald and Illuminary Jenos is useless if the Jenos is healing the Torvald. He's not getting enough health. He's not dealing enough damage. It's just wasted. There's only a few tanks that really benefit from you running Luminary on them if they're half health. So you would say, well, that means Jenos can't heal tanks. That's not true. A Celestial Touch one can, but a Luminary can't. On Luminary, your focus is your flanks and your damage supports, because they are the ones that are going to be dealing the bulk of the damage. You want them to do that. And that's kind of the problem. On a Luminary Jenos, do you heal the flank that is full health in the back line, tearing them up? Or do you heal another support or a damage that's fighting for their life in the back line with you against an enemy flanker? Because if you heal that person and they die, now your flank that's in their back line doesn't have the damage bonus. So it's a trade-off that you have to run. That's the problem I see a lot of people run with Jenos, where they say Jenos is a shit healer, is because most Genoses don't have good target prioritization. If you're constantly spamming the tank with heals on a Luminary Jenos, you are not going to be able to actually give your team the Luminary benefit. These guys over here suffer. But if you're giving these guys the heals at full health, it doesn't help. That's why I say you really want to give your flanks and your damages. When they get to 3/4 of a health bar or half a health bar, you want to heal them. Basically, on Jenos, you want to think of any target that is below half health as being dead. If they can get out of the line of fire and out of cauterize long enough for you to pop a heal, like on Fernando. So say we're on Serpent Beach. If he is able to tuck and run behind a corner, just charge off the point into that little cubby that's there on the side, and you could pop a heal on him and give him 2 to 3 seconds of heals. You know, let's say we can get 3 to 4. 600, 800, closer to 800 to 850, right? That's good enough for him to maybe go back onto the point and try and contest a little longer, so you can call out to your damage who has a Luminary buff on them, hey, kill something. Then we go to the next card, and that's going to be the Celestial Touch. Now this is what I would recommend if you want to be a healer. There was definitely a big controversy around, you know, do you be a healer, do you be an aggressive support, or do you be a damage support? There is a difference between them. This is my primary build, and you can see this is a healing oriented. You have the max range. A lot of people tell me that this should be my Luminary build because I increase the duration, but the problem with this I do use this as a Luminary build, it's just not effective on Luminary. On Luminary, your goal, this is the thing a lot of people don't realize. On Luminary, your goal, we'll come back to this. Your goal is not to give people damage buffs and not do healing. where you just give them a damage buff and you don't do healing. What you want to do on Luminary is you want to heal somebody that's starting to get low before they get low, and you're giving them the damage to bail out of a situation. As I've said before, support's jobs are not to babysit and heal you. A support's job is to support the team. That's why they're called supports and not medics. The disadvantage is you have to be a lot closer on this build, but just to show off the build. So you have the 2-second cooldown, so I'm at 6-second cooldown, 50% range, I have a 12-second heal. I can have 2 to 3 people healed at a time. If I were to buy Chronos, even at level 1, I could have 3 people healed at the same time. So it does allow you to sustain a team a little bit better. And then the Falling Star for the reset. This is a true healing build. And now we're going to showcase it off. This is another common thing that you want to do. You see how hard it is to keep him alive right there, even with me putting damage in? But you can burst him for a good amount of health. So it does enable you to burst very well. You know, is he able to fight his way out of a paper bag with the Luminary? No, but the question is he going to be able to do that anyways? If you're running Barrack Torvald with a Luminary Jenos, I have to question what the fuck you're doing. Especially if the Torvald is not running Field Study. If he's running Field Study, I understand you're going for a damage amp team, which then again, okay, so Barrack is a bad tank to run with that, and the rest of your team is probably looking at you like, we have no healing, we have no shielding, what are you fucking thinking? Also, remember the fact that your ult is really fucking hard to hit? I just wanted to showcase that off. It really only works if you know where they're at, and because that has such a wind-up, people can really see.
We're not done yet.
A lot of things that I will often do is I will play a little bit more backline role, and the way I tend to play my Jenos is as a backline character. Pop a heal, and I pretty much try to stay in Stellar Wind as much as possible so I can move around. And then if I need to pop a heal, I can cancel out of the Stellar Wind, go back in. Let's say I get jumped by a flank right here. I can shoot him down. Pop a heal before I die. I don't really use Stellar Wind as a retreat. I use it more as a get-in tool. I don't think Jenos is a champion that benefits a lot from getting out of a fight, as well as he does getting into a fight. So it's not something you really should think about all that often. Now, what do you want to buy for items on Jenos? Well, let's start with that. We're going to start with the red category first. Bulldozer's not effective. Once again, you're better off on Caught. It's really only if they're stacking multiple deployables and they are pissing you off, like Yings and Barracks, where I get the I've been running into a lot of hackers that they're running, you know, 4 turrets and 5 clones at a time, and I'm like, this is not possible. Cauterize is your go-to option on Jenos. I'll explain why. He is decent on Wrecker because he is a rapid-fire champion like a Victor or a Tyra. He can burst down shields, but your primary job really isn't to burst down shields. Pretty much, the way I would put it is this. Let's say you're running 2 damages, you, a flank, and a support. You and one of the damages in that case should take Wrecker if, let's say you have slower rate of fire champions. Let's say you have a Cassie and a Victor. Your Cassie is better off at bursting down the shield, even though she has a projectile-based weapon, she does more damage per shot than the Victor. The Victor is better off rapidly applying the Caught. And let's say we have a Xin. Well, Xin should be applying Caught anyways. So you have the Xin and the Victor running Caught, and you have the Jenos and the Cassie running Wrecker. That way there, because the Jenos should be on these types of builds, he should be a little bit more up close and personal. He should be on the Wrecker then. It's not a bad option, but it's not what you want. You want Caught because if you get jumped by a flank, you want to be able to make sure that they cannot heal the damage that you deal to them. But this category entirely is not your priority. It should be utility and healing first. What? I said healing on a healer? Yes. Yes, I did. Deft Hands is another thing that I think you do not need on Jenos. He has a fast reload. Just get over it. Not only that, you can have a card where Stellar Wind generates 10 ammo per second. So, Life Rip. It's not fucking effective on Jenos, you noobs. Unless you're on Binary Star. But you have to realize, this is again my thing with support. Support should have kill to eel. Kill to eel. Kill to eel. Kill to eel from the makers of Hasbro. No, kill to heal as either their first or second item. That way there, you healing people will heal you if they get kills. You getting eliminations and you getting kills will heal you. You healing people and doing your fucking job does that. Because it encourages you, okay, let me get a heal off before I die. Right? So you get that heal off. The person that you healed kills somebody because they're now healed. They're able to have enough health to kill somebody. And if you've got this at tier 2 or tier 3, you're going to be able to survive a little bit longer. You're going to be able to say, hey, let me have another heal before I die. And it becomes a situation of a good healer saying, I will heal you before I die so that you can then save me from dying so I can save you from dying. It's quid pro quo. Veteran is actually slightly beneficial on him because of Stellar Wind, because you can reposition very rapidly and get out of the line of fire. You can get healed up a lot faster. I do not recommend it at all, and I don't even recommend Rejuvenate unless you have a second healer. And because you are a healer, I can't recommend Rejuvenate unless you're running 3 healers. You need that kill to heal. Defense, obviously these two are situational. These are your priority. Resilience really isn't effective because it pretty much just stops your Stellar Wind. If you're not a very mobile type champion, if you don't use Stellar Wind a lot, you're not going to get affected by Resilience. Obviously, if you're running more of a Stellar Wind build, like, you know, you reload off of it, you have the increased jump height, whatever the case may be, you're going to want to run Resilience. Illuminate is actually a decent choice because skies tend to just jump you. It's like you're working the drive-thru and you're just afraid somebody's going to reach in and get you. Yeah, that's kind of... So I understand running Illuminate on Jenos, but it's not a must-have. Like I said, you're better off getting Haven to counter the damage that they deal. This is your important category. Now, every motherfucker in the game is going to sit here and tell me, Jenos, Jenos has such a long cooldown. Jenos does not have as long of a cooldown as you think. Most of my builds have cooldown reduction that drops it down to 6 seconds. 6 seconds is what you want, and then you could run the Void Grip reset, which resets your cooldown instantly. Okay? So if we're looking at instantly resetting our cooldown, right? Off of Kronos. Here's the thing I want to mention. Why the fuck are you running Kronos? Now I get, let's say we take 2 seconds off with the level 4 cooldown reduction card. So you're looking at a 6 second cooldown, and you get Kronos. Okay? This is the build that I'm running right now.
Feels like.
How fast is my heal? 5. It's still 5 second cooldown. Oh, so I have to change champion? Damn. No. I didn't think that through. There we go. Alright, so that was a 5 second cooldown, right? Oh my god, it's a 6 second cooldown! Oh no! You spent 2,400 credits for 1 second cooldown reduction. For 1! Nimble's not a great choice. You have Stellar Wind, so just, you know, fly away, little birdie. Master Rider, I'm actually gonna say, is not a great choice. Here's the thing. Your ult is so fucking hard to land consistently that there's gonna be a lot of times where you just miss. And your ult is powerful as a damage. So, yeah, run Morale Boost. My preferred setup when I run Jenos, I'm running Celestial Touch in this build, my first 2 items are Morale and Kill to Heal. Because what it allows me to do is it basically forms a circle of life. So, I heal people, they get eliminations. That heals me. My healing people generates more ult charge. People me healing those people and them killing people generates ult charge. I heal people, I get healed. I get ult charge. People kill giving me ult charge. I heal. And you know why I did that circle? Because then they step into the light! As I use my Kamehameha. And that's exactly what it is. It is a Kamehameha. But yeah, pretty much, that's what you want to do. pretty much the basic tips I can give you on Jenos are really simple. Target prioritization. Who do you heal? If the tanks have health, you're not gonna help. If your tank is half health, you are not gonna be able to help him really on Jenos. And the sooner you realize that, the better off the game is. The better off you as a Jenos realize. You have to. Now, what you want to do is when they start to get low, you want to pop a heal on them. And a lot of people say, well, you pop a heal on them before. Like right now, you would pop a heal on him. No, he hasn't taken any damage. There's no reason to. Especially if you're running Celestial Touch, where the whole point is to give that burst heal. You want him to take damage so you can pop the heal on him. I mean, it's kind of useless to pop a heal on him if he's at full health like this. This is not doing anything. And you have the rest of your team sitting there spamming, need healing, need healing. Another thing I do want to cover, we're done with Jenos pretty much, but the last thing I do want to cover is, for all of you support mains out there, and I do have to include myself seeing as I have every fucking healer at 30 or higher. Like, my range on healers for every healer is 30 to 33, with Grok being my highest at 33 with most plays time, and I have a minimum of 85 games on every champion. I get that may not be a lot to a lot of support champions. That's a minimum of 85 games on every single champion, on every single support champion. That is a lot, especially to casual. Certain healers, you're gonna need healing a lot on. Just playing around a Ying, or a Pip, or a Damba, or a Jenos, or a Grok. You are going to get spammed need healing every fucking chance you get. And Jenos, I remember I've said that. On Grover, Saris, and Furia, not so much. Just like, instantly, in a game. This is my thing. I've run Grok, and I just get spammed need healing off the fucking bat. Like, okay, wow. Now, this is my thing. When I run Mortal Reach on Saris, those motherfuckers spam need healing all the time. Not realizing that I'm only healing one person at a time. They want Void Abide. Like, literally, I get spammed need healing more on Mortal Reach than I do on Soul Collector or Agony. And it just weirds me out. Same thing on Grover. If I'm running Rampant, Blooming, or Efflorescence, I'm going to get hit with need healing more than on Ferocity for whatever reason. On Furia, I get hit with need healing all the time on Solar Blessing, and I go to game chat and I say, step into the fucking Pyre Strike, you dumb wanker, I'm healing you. And they're like, no, I don't want that. No, you heal me how I want you to. And unfortunately, Jenos is a bit of a shit support for the rest of the supports in the game. And let me explain why. Jenos' strength is that he is able to heal at a long range through walls. Okay? You know who doesn't do that? Furia, Saris, Damba. They don't heal through fucking walls. Well, Saris can avoid Abide, but that's besides the point. Everybody's gonna sit there and say, I need healing, I need healing. It's like, I love the little boy Shaolin. Need healing, need healing. And I tell people, I am not Jenos, I'm Maldamba. I cannot heal you through a wall. Okay, my gourd does not go through the wall to your location. My mending spirit does not go through the wall to your location. Okay, I'm running Furia. My Cherish does not go through the wall to your location. My Solar Blessing does, but you don't want to fucking stand in it, so how am I going to help you? So yeah, Jenos unfortunately made it bad for the rest of the good healers, because people think that they just go straight through walls. But that is besides the point. Anyways, I hope this video has been educational. It's mostly me ranting. I get told a lot of times that Jenos is a shit healer. He doesn't do enough healing. And so I'm hoping that this will put this to bed. And by the way, I just want to see how many I can land. Just a double. Okay. Bye-bye.